Hi, this is Ray Comfort. Recently, a friend sent me Dr. James Dobson's open letter to Christians regarding the upcoming election. I was so blown away by what he said, I just had to share it with you.
Well, hello everyone. I'm James Dobson with the James Dobson Family Institute, and I want to share a few thoughts with you about the upcoming national election. The letter I will read in a moment was distributed to our constituents a few days before President Trump contracted the coronavirus. That was on October the 2nd. He appears to be recovering and his name will be on the ballot, opposed to that of Vice President Joe Biden. I would not suggest how you should vote in that election, but my friend Ray Comfort invited me to offer some perspectives about how this decision might be made. This is what I wrote. Dear friends, this will be my final letter to 800,000 people before Americans cast their ballots on November 3rd. It is a breathtaking moment in the history of the United States. Many political commentators have stated that this election is the most significant since 1864, when Abraham Lincoln vied for a second term against Democratic nominee George McClellan. The future of our beloved nation hung in the balance that year. If Lincoln had lost, the Civil War would have ended precipitously, and the wretched evils of slavery would have remained legal in the Confederate States and perhaps even in the North. Had Lincoln been defeated, the Union would have been torn asunder. Thank God Mr. Lincoln won, even though it cost him his life. Now we're approaching another presidential election that carries enormous implications for the stability of our democratic system of government. Indeed, Newt Gingrich said that what we are now facing might bring an end to civilization as we have known it. He may have been referring to a possible revolution. Regardless, I believe his grave concern for our nation is valid. For centuries, America has stood as a shining light for liberty and freedom. If we abandon our core values, the world will suffer for it. The binary choice before us is that stark. Now, here is the critical question. How will Americans and how will you decide how to vote for our chief executive officer? I have heard from dozens of friends and acquaintances in recent weeks who have told me they will base their decisions solely on the candidate's rhetoric, tone, style, or likability. Does that describe your thinking process? Just now, as I was about to react to that idea, my wife Shirley brought in an email that she had received a few minutes before from a friend. It quoted an anonymous statement that gets to the heart of the issue as follows, and I'm quoting, "This is not a junior high or high school popularity contest. I'm not voting for the person. I'm voting for the platform. I'm voting for the Second Amendment. I'm voting for the next Supreme Court justice. I'm voting for the Electoral College. I'm voting for the republic in which we live. I'm voting for the police and law and order. I'm voting for the military and the veterans who fought and died for this country. I'm voting for the flag that is often missing from public events. I'm voting for the right to speak my opinion and not be censored for it. I'm voting for secure borders. I'm voting for the right to praise God without fear. I'm voting for every unborn soul that is at risk of being aborted. I'm voting for freedom and the American dream. I'm voting for good against evil. I'm not just voting for one person. I'm voting for the future of my country." I couldn't have said it better, although I want to add to the writer's list. I'm also voting for candidates who will exercise sound judgment internationally. I'm voting for those who will support Israel. I'm voting for those who will protect children from leftist curricula. I'm voting for the nation's fiscal integrity. I'm voting for parental rights. I'm voting for school choice and for home education. I'm voting for freedom in the suburbs. I'm voting for Little Sisters of the Poor and other Christian organizations. I'm voting for racial unity. I'm voting to support In God We Trust and school prayer. I'm voting for freedom of conscience for physicians and other professionals. I'm voting for marriage. I'm voting for life in all its dimensions. I'm voting for wisdom in handling the pandemic. I'm voting for protection for the church and oppressive politicians. I'm voting against euthanasia and physician-assisted suicide. And yes, I'm voting against socialism. One final thought, and this comes from my heart. With all respect, this election isn't about you. It certainly is not about me. It's about our kids and grandkids. It's about those who are yet to come. If they're allowed to live, this vote has awesome implications for future generations and the nation we love. It is about our Constitution and the immutable God-given rights that it protects. It is about values and truth and greatness and hope. That is why the notion of choosing a president based on frivolous personality characteristics is so unfortunate. In summary, this election is for all the marbles: the presidency, the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the Supreme Court. Together, they set the agenda for our country. If you love America and don't want it to be fundamentally transformed, it is time to do three things. Number one, pray like never before that God will spare this great nation from tyranny and oppression of religious liberty. 2, volunteer to help your candidates. 3, vote for the candidates who will best uphold your values and convictions. Also, you might consider sharing this video with your friends, family, and others whom you might influence. If you would also like to contact me, just go to drjamesdobson.org. And God bless America.